You know, they say one of the marks of true great leadership is what happens when you are not there anymore. And how are you able to replace yourself or raise up people underneath you? And I think this is a very important thing for worship leaders to be able to do, church ministry leaders in general. It's the whole idea of discipleship, honestly, is what Jesus told us to do in the Great Commission. And so today we're going to talk about the cost of raising up leaders in your worship ministry.
So we all want to raise up leaders. We all want to replace we want musicians. We say we do. It's the nouveau thing to do, right? You should raise up leaders. But the reality is you're probably overworked and underpaid. And so you need help. You need help. You need people around you.
That's pretty much given.
It's pretty much 99%.
Yeah.
You need people around you that can help carry the load. And also you want to distribute the opportunities for people to reach their potential. And so raising up leaders is a huge conversation in the church world. It's something we want to do. Maybe we don't know how to do it. Maybe we're afraid to do it, or maybe we're on the cusp of doing it. And we're just here to kind of tell you what to be ready for, because on the awesome side of raising up leaders, there's also a flip side of that coin that you've got to be ready for emotionally and psychologically, so that the process can be really smooth and empowering and great for everybody. And so the first thing that you have to be aware of when raising up leaders, we're talking about the cost of raising up leaders, because it does cost something. It might not cost money, but it costs you other things. And it's all worth it in the end. But here's the first cost. The first cost is you've got to give up control.
Yeah.
And that's the C word, right? That's the word that musicians are like, worship leaders especially, like we are probably in leadership because we like to control things.
Right.
We like to fix things and make solutions.
Or you're good at controlling.
You're good at making things happen, right? You see problems, you make solutions. So you're in a situation where you are controlling. As a worship leader, you're picking songs, you're choosing keys, you're directing the band, you're setting all this stuff. And so if you want to raise up someone, you are going to have to give away some sort of control.
Yeah.
There's something that I have to say to you, okay, I want you to now do this. Yeah. Because otherwise I'm just always doing it.
And if you if you give it to me and empower me to do it, and I do it, and you sit there and look over my shoulder and tell me how to do everything.
Yeah, I'm not empowering you.
Control.
Yeah, I'm not. That's micro.
I believe in the office they call it micromanagement.
Micromanagement, and it's also just there's this paradox in business where there's a ratio between control and growth. If you want to have great growth, you have to give up a lot of control. Yeah. If you want to have a lot of control, you have to give up growth. And so somewhere in the middle, it's giving up a little bit of control to experience growth.
Yeah.
And that's growth in your organization, it's growth in your ministry, and it's also growth in the other person and you personally.
Yeah.
So you have to weigh that cost, because everything you love to control and have your fingers on now, someone else is going to be doing.
And they're going to do it different.
They might do it better.
And they might do it worse.
They might do it worse. We're going to talk about that.
You have to be okay with that.
Yes.
They might do it better.
Yeah, they might do it better, and that's worse too sometimes. So.
Yeah, for your own ego.
Yeah.
Right?
That actually plays right into our second point, which is another cost. Ready for this one? Oh, super Christian person, is humility.
Yeah.
If you're the man or you're the woman
singing
and you're leading all the songs and everyone thinks you hung the moon, suddenly now you're empowering someone, so guess what? We have to share the spotlight now.
The spotlight is off of you.
So now I'm empowering you, I'm trusting you, but wait a minute, now I'm out of the picture and you're getting the glory or you're getting the accolades, and or God forbid you do something better than me. And everyone's like, man, where's this guy been?
Yeah.
You've been holding us back, bro.
Where you're really tested is when people in the lobby after church come up to this person and you're within earshot, and they're like, "It was so good. Why? I'm excited for you to sing more." And you hear that and you interpret it as
you're not good enough.
They like it. They like this person more than me.
Yeah.
Now they don't want me around anymore.
It's easy to think you're humble. But it's another thing to sit by and be humble.
Yeah.
It's a great quality for the Lord to exercise in us. But just be ready when you raise up leaders, be ready to be humble.
Yeah.
Because hopefully if you've led well and you've chosen the right person, they're going to do things better than you.
Yeah.
Which ultimately makes you look better.
Yeah.
But there's a process in there where you're not going to get the accolades you used to.
And you know what? Another thing might happen is your church might celebrate this person.
Ooh, that
and
will definitely happen.
And your church might celebrate this person more than they ever celebrated you.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been there a long time.
Yes.
And it can feel to you like your church values this person more than you. And you're there thinking, I made this person. Right?
I created everything.
Maybe that's not what you think.
That's hopefully not.
But I guarantee
it could.
that might creep up in your spirit a little bit.
It could, especially if things get out of control.
Like, I empowered this person to do this thing. And now the church is like, they want them, and what am I? I mean, you're going to run into this kind of stuff in ministry.
It will happen. And if you're doing a great job, it will happen.
Yes.
Because the whole goal here is to elevate others above where you're at. You have to put yourself aside. You have to put your ego aside. You have to truly care more about other people. And it's a basic Christian principle. Man, when we do it, it hurts. The third cost, which you will endure when empowering others, is sacrifice. Sacrifice. You will have to sacrifice what you're not sacrificing now. Because the reality is, if I'm going to pour into you, what does that take? It takes time. So I'm going to have to sacrifice time. I'm going to have to invest in you. The number one excuse I hear from people about not empowering, I don't have time to teach them. I don't have time. And the reality is, you also don't have time to not. Because what you don't realize is, while it might take you 3 months to invest in someone, for the rest of your life or the rest of that ministry, they're going to save you countless amounts of hours. So you either pay now or you pay later. And so this idea of sacrifice is important.
Or your church pays when it's time for when it's time for you to leave that church.
Oh, that's terrible.
And then there's nothing left. You've not brought anybody up underneath you to help carry that load. Because seasons come and go in ministry. Another thing when you say sacrifice, something I've heard our pastor talk about is if you give something to somebody, and we mentioned this earlier, you have to be okay with them not doing it as well as at least you think you could do it. Right? You have to be okay with it being done at a slightly lower level, with the understanding that they're going to get better and better and better
gradually,
at it. And that's a form of sacrifice too. Because it's really hard as a worship leader to give something to somebody and play alongside them and hear them, like, say you're going to have a person lead a song. I think that's a pretty common scenario. You're kind of grooming a volunteer who shows a lot of promise. And you're like, I'm going to give you a song to lead.
This is it. This is a big moment.
And then it's a song that you love to lead. And you're playing guitar or whatever keys next to them, and they're leading it, and in your mind you're thinking like, this would be better if I were leading. I mean, that's a real thing.
And it could be true.
And it most likely it is true.
Could be
in
true
many situations. And but that's where humility comes in and that kind of thing. And you have to understand the goal is to raise this person up.
And you also got to know that too, because what has happened to me before is I've raised up other people. They've done an okay job, and then I immediately have staff coming to me or pastors coming to me going, what's going on here? And I'm like, relax. So that's why it's important that people are coming along with you on the journey, and that you create a culture of onboarding and a culture of empowering, so that when that situation does happen, it doesn't like stick out like a sore thumb. But it's just the culture that you've created. You have a culture where people have room to grow and learn and experiment, and then that will end up being a culture of excellence at the end of the day. So remember, there is a cost with raising up leaders, but I tell you, there is a greater cost if you don't. And so always remember that. Whatever it costs you today, it's going to cost you a lot more if you don't do it. So take the risk, invest in someone today, and just know that, hey, it's going to be a process, going to be a little pain involved, going to be a little trial and error involved. That's totally fine. At the end, it's going to be totally worth it, and your entire ministry is going to be way better off, and you're going to be a better leader because of it.
Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.